And there's ways to do it. Again, we can use physiology to drive your state. We can change beliefs to drive the state. We can use priming to change our state. We can use mindset to change our state. We can use habits to change our state. But we have to do something to maintain our state. And I have 3 lines there. You have a physical state of being, you have a mental state of being, and you have a energy state of being. So I could say mind, body, spirit, but let's just call it an energy state of being. So you can have your mental could be positive, but your energy could be low. So we have a low positive. Or you could have a negative mental and you could have a low energy. Now you got low and low negative, or you can have negative mental and high energy. And that's bad because now you have outbursts and you have people being triggered and all that. And then you have the physiology. You can look at a sports team and sometimes you can see the moment when they collectively decided that they don't have a chance. On the other hand, you can look at a sports team and you can, on the sidelines, and you can see when they collectively decided that they could win this thing even though they're behind. And that physiology changes and it counts for something. Then we have the stimulus response, what is known as the stimulus response cycle. And this is steps 3 to 7. To make it work, it's not just a stimulus response cycle. It's a stimulus reaction, I'll call it R1. So that's your step 3. Then we have your response, R2. That's your step 4. Then we have your emotions. May need emotion modulation so that you don't get triggered or stay triggered, so that we come back quickly. You go from a fixed mindset back to a growth mindset. That's step 5. And by the way, so every one of these, we talk about how to have command over it, how to command this, how to command this, and how to command each one of these. And because this part here happens so quickly, from stimulus to response is your 500 milliseconds, your half of a second. And if you're stressed out, it could be 2/3 of that. But there's 2 parts. There's a 250 millisecond that happens between the stimulus and the reaction, and there's another 250 milliseconds. And of course, this can go up and down depending if you're distracted or you're focused, etc. And there's another 250 milliseconds between the reaction and the response. And that's where choice comes into play. We have the opportunity to have choice, but in order to do that, we have to build conditioning in the stimulus reaction. Otherwise, we keep repeating the same thing. If you ride motorcycles or do some kind of sport, you may think of this as survival reaction. And if you don't train this on purpose, this is part of the breaking down in ranger training and special ops. I literally feel like they break down your stimulus reaction so it doesn't really work anymore. You don't get triggered into fight or flight, which makes sense because fight or flight is designed the way we are built, 200,000-year-old brain, for dealing with a tiger, face to face with the tiger. Now, there are people in the world today that have those kinds of threats on a regular basis. It's very unfortunate. But for most of us, we don't have tiger-level threats in a lifetime, let alone every month or every year. So it makes sense that we do something to interrupt that fight or flight. And that's what we do with this. There's an exercise that we do to neutralize that, because the subconscious is biased towards looking for danger and peril. And so it's already primed to trigger that.